Good evening, everybody. Give you a chance to gather in. We're continuing our study on spiritual battles that we face as followers of Jesus. And tonight we're going to be looking at three different ways that humans tend to view the relationship between the spiritual realm and the physical realm. These are general. I mean, there's a huge continuum from one end to the other of a spectrum of ideas and thoughts. So, I would I would say that we're not saying this is the complete and total list of all the ideas that people have or have had regarding the spiritual and the physical and the relationship between them. But I am saying that we will cover the vast majority with these three to some degree. Um, there's these three views as we talk about these things, and it's important to have the the correct view in mind when we read things in the Bible, like Paul's directions to us in Ephesians chapter 6, where he says we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. We don't our struggle's not with other human beings, but it's with spiritual powers and principalities and spiritual forces of evil and darkness in this world. What in the world is he talking about? Well, it's important for us to have an understanding of that and a grasp of what that means, so that we can put it into practice. This is a command. This is a direction for us as followers of Jesus and how we're supposed to live and put things together in our lives. And so we're going to talk about these three general views of the relationship between the spiritual realm and the physical realm. Just quick overview. It's not going to take long. There's three main ways that we look at these things. The most common one, I'm gonna hold up some of my fancy artwork that if you can see, you'll know that I did not get my degree in art. I could have made both of these the same color and they would have stood out better probably. Let me see if I move it closer. That'll help. I'll move it a little closer to the camera. There you go. So we're going to call the red one the spiritual realm, and the red circle the spiritual realm, and the black circle the physical realm, simply because those are the two colors I had to work with. There's no significance to those colors. Don't try to make it anything that it's not. But the materialistic point of view is essentially that the spiritual realm is up there somewhere, maybe, perhaps. The physical realm is the stuff that we can see and taste and touch and hear and measure in some way. And if we can't measure it, if we can't figure out how to hook up a meter to it, if we can't use a yardstick to see how long it is, or put it on a scale to see how much it weighs or what kind of mass it has, if we can't see how it engages in a chemical reaction with other elements or other molecules, we're not quite so sure about it. So there's the physical realm. We're really sure about that. There's the materialistic thing. The spiritual realm, well, maybe it's okay for you to believe in that if you want to, but there's no way to know for sure. That is the modern scientific, science-based point of view. That's not, by the way, the postmodern point of view. The postmodern view is a little more complicated. Uh, but the modern point of view is if you can't taste it, touch it, smell it, measure it, maybe it's there, maybe it's not. It all depends on what you think. It's up to you. That's one view. They're two completely separate realms. They're one that you can know for sure. It's that physical realm because we can touch it. We can measure it with our senses or with instruments that we've created so that we can measure it with our senses. That's the materialistic point of view because the emphasis is on materials. Okay? On the other end of the spectrum is the magical point of view, which says the spiritual realm, the red, and the spiritual realm, the black. Again, same colors, black and red. They're exactly the same. There's a complete overlap, and what happens in one realm affects the other, and particularly in this sense, what happens in the spiritual realm controls what happens in the physical realm. So you may think that putting gasoline in your car makes your car run, but it's actually a spiritual, magical thing that's happening. This there and there's a whole again, this is one of those things, this is one of those areas where there's a wide range of ideas. I mean, there's a wide range of points of view on this particular thing. There are some who think of this in the sense of if we can learn how to manipulate the magic, the spiritual side of things. That's why it's called a magical. That's by magic we can control the spiritual side. We can control everything. By the way, the materialistic side. So if we can learn how to control the stuff, then we can master the universe. To quote some guy, I think I heard on TV once, how's that working for you? I don't think we don't seem to be doing too real well at this whole idea of trying to control things. I'm struggling even to control myself, let alone anything bigger or other people, right? So, but this is the magical point of view. This is the idea is that if I can learn how to control, if I can learn the right things to say, the right things to do, the right that somehow I can control the magical stuff, the spiritual realm, and by controlling the spiritual realm, I'll be able to control the physical realm because they are one and the same. And again, well, how's that working for you? I, I'm just, I wonder. I wonder how that's working. And some of you are thinking, well, what about the Bible? Isn't the Bible like that? Not really. You might think that the Bible's like this, but the Bible's not really like this. Now, if you don't think the Bible's like this, you are absolutely correct. Here's the way the Bible is. The Bible sees that the spiritual realm and the physical realm overlap. They're not the same, but they're not completely separate. They overlap. I mean, this is the message of Jesus himself. He is the pinnacle of overlap. between the spiritual realm and the physical realm. He was all God and all human. He was all spiritual in the sense that he was all God, and he was all physical in the sense he had was and is or was all human, and is because he was a resurrected. He is a resurrected human being. That's what the Christianity teaches. He was and is a human being. He is the connection, one of the ultimate examples of the overlap between the spiritual world and the physical world. There is an overlap. There is an intersection. They're not separate. They are different. I have a science background, and so let me explain it this way. This is one of the ways that there are things that we can see with our eyes, and there are things we cannot see. We have learned to be able to measure them because there are wavelengths of light we can't see. There's ultraviolet light, and there's infrared light. There's light that's faster than the highest speeds of violet, that color of light, the ultraviolet light, and infra slower than red. And we found ways to measure those. And in the way of doing that, and by the way, if I have those turned around, please send me an email and correct me. I don't mind being corrected. I would like to have that straight, okay? We have that, but left to ourselves, we don't see those things. We've developed things, but there are other creatures in this world who do see those things. And because they see these things, those wavelengths of light, they see things in nature we don't see. If you have the opportunity, Google infrared and insects, or ultraviolet in insects. To see the kinds of things they see that we don't see. They see whole patterns in you see a plain flower, and they'll see a pattern on that flower that you don't see. Now, what are you trying to say, Mark? Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. There is this overlap. Physically, we don't see that overlap. We can't taste it. We can't touch it. We can have a sense that it's there. I mean, it's not a physical sense. And so that's what makes it so mystical, mysterious, and for some of us easy to dismiss because you can't put it in a measuring cup. You can't put a meter up to it. I mean, there are people who try, which I always find interesting. But for thousands of years, billions of people throughout history and around the world, even today, will tell you there's something else going on. There's more to this world than what meets the eye. Now, you can dismiss them. You can just write them off as nutcases. But by sheer numbers, you're going to get outvoted. the majority of people throughout history have had a sense that, hey, you may not be able to touch it, smell it, taste it, see it, hear it, measure it in any way, in the way we can in the physical realm, but there is something there, and there is some kind of an overlap. And when the Apostle Paul says to us, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, he's saying to us, it's not other people that are the problem. He's saying that it's in this overlap. That there's spiritual things that are going on. There's spiritual beings who do not want our best, and just as Jesus was the intersection, as we follow him, we become part of that intersection, and we become part of that battle for retaking this world and making it a place filled with the God's amazing love. This is it. This is the way that the Bible looks at things. So there's the materialistic view that says, hey, there's two separate realms.